The Australian Children's Television Foundation and ACME acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we are joining you today, the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Eastern Kulin Nation. We honour their continuing cultures and connection to the lands, waters and skies. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respect to First Peoples from all nations of this land. We also acknowledge First Nations people as the original storytellers of this land and recognise their significant contribution to the contemporary moving image.
Primary school years have been the best years of my life.
They've been the only years of your life.
If you want to fit in around here, you got to learn how to play handball.
Ezra, dinner. I'll be there soon, Mum. No, now. There are certain disadvantages to running a detective agency and being 11 years old.
Hasn't started yet. Oh, I realise what happened now.
That's it, let's go.
Oh, hi everyone. Just one moment. Gary's running a little bit late. Come on, Gary. Where are you? Hi.
I'm here.
You're a bit late.
Have we started?
Yes, we have.
Oh, sorry.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the Script a Smile Comedy Writing Workshop. We're glad you're here. I'm Bridget.
And I'm Gary, part-time scriptwriter, full-time snack hoarder, and unofficial CEO of That Joke Sounded Way Funnier in My Head.
And I enjoy planning, schedules, and a life free from unnecessary chaos. Oh look, Gary brought props again.
Yeah, bananas are essential comedy tools. You can juggle them, slip on them, or use them to emotionally support bad punchlines.
So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you how to write actual funny stuff, like creating ridiculous characters, putting them in weird situations, and somehow making people laugh on purpose instead of out of, secondhand embarrassment.
Plus, we're lifting the lid on some hilarious Australian television shows like The Inbestigators, Hardball, and Little Lunch.
Such great shows. Just a quick poll. Who's seen one or more of those shows? Can you drop it in the chat and let us know?
Just so you know, you don't have to be the funniest or loudest person in the room. You just need a bit of imagination, a willingness to fail dramatically, and someone to laugh with you or at you. Both work.
And by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to write your own comedy scenes, and who knows, maybe it'll even get a real laugh out of your friends instead of that fake All
right, let's do this thing. Banana drop.
All right, before we get into the laughs, let's start with the basics. What is a script?
Yeah, a script is kind of like the instruction manual for a show. It tells us who's talking, what they're doing, and where it's all happening.
I love a script. A script is basically a plan, and I really love a good plan. It keeps everything on track, what people say, how they move, when they enter and exit. Oh, it's like a well-organised checklist.
Okay, I guess without it, I'd just wander on a set holding a banana, hoping for the best.
Which unfortunately has happened.
And yet still, comedy gold.
There are three main parts to a script. Let's get this green screen happening, hey?
Cool. Nice.
Thanks, Gary. Like I said, there's three key parts to a script. We have the dialogue.
So that's what the characters say.
And then we have stage directions or actions.
That's what. Oh, there's a bit up there. That's what the characters do.
And then we have the scene headings. Yes, right at the top.
And these tell us where and when the scene takes place.
That's right. So when you're watching your favourite show and something funny happens, maybe a character trips over their own feet or makes a totally unexpected comment, all of that started with a script.
Yeah, without a script, things could get pretty wild. We'd just be guessing what happens next.
That's right. Now let's talk about what actually makes something funny.
So, Bridget, what is the secret behind comedy? I mean, I already know, but tell everyone else.
Great question, Gary. There are loads of ways to make people laugh, but here are 3 key elements most comedy scripts have. The first is character. So we want big, funny characters with big personalities and unexpected reactions. The second is timing. Comedy is all about when something happens. A perfectly timed joke or a surprise moment can make all the difference. And then the third one is conflict. So when things go hilariously wrong or characters want something different, like losing your homework, texting the wrong person, or failing miserably at something that you thought you were really good at.
Okay, so take some quirky characters, throw in some solid timing, add a dash of harmless chaos, and voila, comedy is born. I need examples immediately.
I've got you covered. Let's start with characters, but why don't we go sit down to talk about that?
Okay.
That's more comfy. Great characters are essential in comedy because they bring the humour with their quirks, personalities, and interactions with each other. And when you're writing comedy, the more distinctive and exaggerated their traits are, the funnier the situations they find themselves in.
Exactly. And a perfect example is The Inbestigators, a clever show about a group of kids who run their own detective agency. Each one brings something different to the team. For example, Ezra's the tech whiz and budding entrepreneur. He's always thinking big and coming up with business ideas, but his plans don't always go smoothly, especially when they clash with Morty's logic.
And Morty's the brains of the group, like the young Sherlock Holmes. She's super smart and quick thinking, but not so great in social situations. Her blunt honesty can create some tension, especially with Ezra, but that's what makes their partnership so interesting. They really balance each other out.
And then there's Kyle. He's all about sports and big dreams. He's not the academic type, but his cheerful, laid-back attitude brings a lot of heart and a lot of humour to the team.
And Ava, she's full of energy and involved in everything from dance to netball, and she can be a little bit gullible and sometimes misses obvious clues, but her enthusiasm and social skills make her the glue that holds the team together.
Yeah, these 4 characters are all so different, but it's their differences that make the comedy work.
Exactly. Ezra's ambition and Morty's intellect, Kyle's carefree charm, and Ava's bubbly spirit create a dynamic and hilarious team.
Yeah, let's watch a short scene and see them all in action. And then afterwards, we'll take a closer look at part of the script.
Great idea.
Hello, and welcome to the Investigators. Kyle, we said I'd start.
But then I got excited. Sorry. Go on. So, 2 weeks ago, Ezra told... Did I mention I was excited?
2 weeks ago, Ezra told us that he had some amazing news. Morty, Ava, Kyle, something incredible has happened to the Investigators. Are we finally getting a dog to help sniff out clues?
Can he sleep on my bed?
Can we call him Rainbow? Guys, this is much, much better than getting a dog. We're getting a pony? Where would we keep a pony? And no, listen, we got into the Young Small Business competition.
I know what you're thinking. The Young Small Business competition? What even is that?
And how is it better than a dog?
Such a fun scene, right? Let's go through a small section of the script.
Okay, so I'll read the directions and the dialogue for Morty and Ava. And Gary, can you read Ezra and Kyle's dialogue?
Sounds good.
Exterior, school gates, playground. Ezra races into school up to Morty, Ava and Kyle.
Morty, Ava, Kyle, something incredible has happened to the investigators.
Are we finally getting a dog to help sniff out clues?
Can he sleep on my bed?
And can we call him Rainbow?
Guys, this is much, much better than getting a dog.
Are we getting a pony?
Where would we keep a pony? No, listen, we got into the Young Small Business competition.
Morty, Ava and Kyle look underwhelmed.
Nice. Gotta say, Bridget, I'm going at bananas for this script.
Yeah, it's pretty great. What do you like about it, Gary?
Well, I like how Ezra, instead of just saying, we got into the Young Small Business competition, sets up the joke with the line, something incredible has happened to the investigators. And then we get funny responses from all the other characters. And then there's the letdown when everyone realizes they're not getting a dog or a pony, and that the thing Ezra is excited about is something that only Ezra would get excited about.
We call this a guess and response joke. So one character says something that encourages all the other characters to provide a response, and the audience gets a little funny insight from each of the characters' personalities.
I want to have a go.
Well, guess what, Gary?
I'm finally getting that promotion.
No, sadly not.
I bet it's because of all the banana skins I've been leaving around the office.
Yeah, that probably has something to do with it. Anyway, in good news, we have an activity ready to roll. We want you to finish this script. The guess and response joke is centred around Ezra coming into the classroom and saying something terrible has happened to the investigators. And we want to know what you think the different characters will respond.
We'll give you 2 minutes to come up with responses for all 3 characters. Then you might like to chuck them in the chat. Extra points if you think of what could be so terrible according to Ezra in this scenario. Thanks everyone, so many amazing responses. So we'll share some of our favourites in the chat so you can take a look at what other schools have shared.
Absolutely, you're all on your way to becoming comedy script writers already.
Exactly, now let's look at how timing works in comedy.
In comedy, it's not just what you say that gets a laugh, it's when you say it.
Exactly. Comedy's like a banana. Peel it too early and it's not ready. Peel it too late and, well, now you're just holding regret in fruit form.
Yep, timing is everything. A pause, a beat, a well-placed silence. It's what gives a scene rhythm. Get it right and the joke lands, get it wrong and it flops.
Like slipping on a banana peel, but like emotionally?
Yeah, exactly.
The comedy peel, so slippery, so unpredictable.
Which is why we practice timing. So we don't end up emotionally face planting.
What if I time my face plant perfectly?
Then congratulations, you've written physical comedy with a snack. Should we look at an example?
Yeah, I think Hardball is a great example of timing. So it follows Mikey, a kid who is new to the school and is navigating a new culture and a whole new handball-obsessed world. He's a total fish out of water, and a lot of the laughs come from his wholesome responses and his timing, which doesn't quite match everyone else's.
Which makes it even funnier. Comedy loves a character who's just a little offbeat. Let's take a look at a script from Hardball, and why don't we get everyone to do a table read?
Amazing. Yeah, table read is when the cast sits together and reads the script out loud to get a feel for the story and characters. It helps everyone understand the tone, the timing, and how the scenes flow. It's a really important first step before rehearsals or filming begin. So have one person read the directions and one student for each of the characters. We'll give you 3 minutes to read through this script and then we'll watch the scene. Great job, everyone. Now let's watch the scene. Keep a close eye and ear on the timing.
Just because you can't play, don't ruin the fun for everyone else.
Like you did for me?
No idea what you're talking about, okay?
You're gonna pay.
When I pay is the day you play, which is never.
Covered in sauce, eh, miss?
My office. Now.
Can you hear anything?
I believe she's pacing with menace.
So timing isn't just about how one punchline is delivered, As you can see with this example, there's also a lot of setup for the joke of Miss Crapa's saucing, and more timing in the aftermath as well. So watch how it starts fast with quick back and forths as Tiffany taunts Salwa. This builds the tension like something big's gonna happen.
And then Salwa throws the ball and time slows. It hits Miss Crapper and the sauce spills everywhere. The slow motion makes it feel really dramatic, even though it's just sauce.
Yeah, it's hilarious how over the top it feels. And then Mikey steps in with this line, "Sauce all over you, miss." So innocent, so calm. It's timed and delivered so well. And I like that in, that Mikey style, that the line is understated, meaning he doesn't scream it out, laughing his head off. He states the obvious pretty quietly.
And I think that's really what makes it work. That quiet delivery is what makes it so funny.
And don't miss the silence right after. Everyone freezes. And this pause gives the audience time to react and makes the moment even better.
It's all about the timing. The build-up, the line, and that silence. It all works together to make the comedy land just right. So when you're writing your own comedy, make sure you're thinking about where the laughs fall, not just in what the characters say, but when they say or do it.
Because great timing makes a joke work.
That's right. Now let's move on to conflict. Because when things go wrong, comedy usually goes very right.
Ooh, conflict. Like when I try to eat the last piece of garlic bread, but my brother also wants it. Like that kind of conflict?
Not quite. In comedy, conflict means two or more characters wanting or thinking different things or approaching a situation differently, which results in things going completely wrong. It's the tension or lack of understanding that creates that opportunity for a laugh.
So basically, comedy is just people struggling to communicate?
Yeah, but in a fun way. Let's take the Little Lunch episode, Grandparents' Day.
Oh, I remember that one. Everyone's trying to impress the visiting grandparents and the class in their own way.
Yeah, and that's the conflict. Everyone's expectations collide, and the more things unravel and unravel, the funnier it gets.
Yeah, it's like a comedy snowball. It starts small, rolls downhill, and suddenly you're buried in awkward speeches and surprise musical hobbies.
Exactly. Conflict doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can be a tiny disagreement, a plan that goes wrong, or characters who simply don't see eye to eye.
Like me and punctuality.
Or you and Indoor Voices.
Hey, comedy needs volume, damn it. Also, I thought the recorder was a nice touch.
The point is, when you're writing a scene, ask yourself, what does each character want? And then what could possibly go hilariously wrong?
So many things, apparently. Let's watch the example from Little Lunch.
Grandparents' Day last year was a total disaster. Deborah Jo started it off.
Deborah Jo played Imagine by John Lennon on the recorder.
I didn't know it was that song.
Nobody did.
I guess that's why it's called Imagine.
Okay, firstly, everyone knew what song it was.
It was a song? I thought it was impressions of wounded animals.
Secondly, it wasn't as bad as Rory's rap.
Grandparents, get old and busted. Got no teeth and can only eat custard.
Rory!
What? Only eating custard would be awesome.
So let's look at a few examples and then we'll put the whole script from the scene in the after the workshop activities so you can take a closer look.
Good idea. This scene is so funny, especially with that mockumentary style of Little Lunch. The cutaways to characters explaining their side of the camera add those extra layers of chaos. You can see in the script how the location shifts between their two camera interviews where they're talking to the camera and then the action from the presentations on Grandparents' Day.
Yeah, I like when we see Melanie tell us that Deborah Jo was playing Imagine on the recorder, and then it cuts to Deborah Jo playing the recorder, and we have no idea what song that is. But it's definitely not Imagine. It really helps the joke land.
I definitely didn't hear Imagine when I heard that. And then there's Rory's rap as well, which was totally inappropriate for the audience filled with grandparents. They were really cheeky jokes.
Yeah, I love Rory. The conflict really shines in the back and forth between Rory and Deborah Jo as they have completely opposite views on how the day went. This scene is even funnier because poor Miss Gonsha is struggling to stop it all going completely off the rails as well. You wouldn't have an experience like that, would you, Bridget, dealing with some out-of-control, childish co-presenter?
You're not that bad, Gary. All right, now let's move on and have a go at putting everything into your own original comedy scene.
So we have prepared 3 writing prompts for you. They're on screen now, but we will also send your teachers a link to these resources to use in the classroom after this session.
So pick one of the following and get writing. Maybe you'd like to be inspired by the Inbestigators and write a short scene where Ezra, Morty, Kyle and Ava are involved in a very low stakes mystery like who stole the last donut or who left glitter in the school tuck shop.
I don't know, they sound pretty serious to me. Anyway, maybe you love the timing in Hardball and would like to write a scene where Mikey is trying to impress a group during a big moment, but his timing is totally off.
Little Lunch is also a fabulous show for inspiration. You could imagine that it's a special day at school and the characters all want it to go perfectly, but they all want different things.
Yeah, look, I can't wait to see what you all come up with.
Me too. Email your scripts to us so we can have a read at education@actf.com.au.
And that's the end of a Script a Smile comedy writing workshop.
You came, you wrote, you maybe even laughed, and if not, well, we tried.
Except that brilliant line I wrote about the talking sandwich. Chef's kiss.
No, Gary, no one liked the talking sandwich. It got cut from the script in like draft 4.
Oh really? Did it?
What do you mean, did it? Look, we cut it out. What is this new section titled Epic Surprise Ending Gary Edition?
Oh yeah, I may have made a few minor edits while you were out eating that very loud apple earlier.
You rewrote the ending again?
Yes, the audience deserves closure and drama and possibly interpretive dance. Cue the fog machine.
There's no fog machine, Gary.
Not with that attitude. Drum roll, please. And enter talking sandwich from the ceiling.
Whatever, ignore him. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you leave inspired, amused, and only mildly confused.
And remember, when life gets serious, find a talking sandwich. That's my final line.
That's not the final line.
The end.
Yeah, we're done. I'm confused. You're confused. Please go write something better than this. Bye.
Still think that sandwich had potential, Bridget. Like,
there was...
it.
No, there's zero context, Gary. It made no sense.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about it. Like, it's called absurdist comedy, Bridget.
You should have just gone back to talking about the banana.
A new day dawns in the wild, wild west, when the school will discover who will be the best. And you know when the going gets tough, Mike is gonna dig down and use the right stuff. 'Cause if you wanna play